So how many tonight want a financial breakthrough? How many, like Pastor Ryan, were saying, got a not enough, want a more than enough in the financial area? Well, tonight we're going to talk about how you can get your more than enough. How God can bless you over and above what you may think possible on your own. You know, some of you might think that your financial blessings in these bags. Maybe I stopped over at the credit union or the Bank of America and, I went over there and I said, hey, if Jesus could take the 5 loaves and the 2 little fishes, and if he could break it, maybe if I took it over to the bank and said, hey, can you break this for me and fill it up? And I can maybe get 15,000. Yeah, the alarms went off and they said leave. And so I said, hey, if a 5 is good, let's try breaking these and see if we can't break these bills up and see if we can't turn them into 15,100 bills. So I was going to do these for demo, and I put them on the company copier, and the company copier said, hey, that's illegal. You can't do that. So I tried to scan them. I said, I'll just send it to my email address. And I had the Treasury Department, the Secret Service came calling, and they said, hey, what are you trying to do? Why are you trying to copy $100 bills? I said, it's for training for Victory Outreach. So I had to leave work a little early today. I had some splaining to do. Honest, I even wrote on the back, for training only. Don't try to cash them, they're not gonna work. I made sure I didn't put 2 sides on it. So yeah, I was just gonna break them and see if they would turn into 15,000, but God had other plans. So I'll tell you a little bit about a little background. Many of you may know that I served in the United States Marine Corps. How many? Did you know, I'm Brother James, but Pastor Chris, whose real first name is James, was also in the Marine Corps. And then Pastor James, but Pastor Joe just launched out. He's up in San Jose right now. Yep. He's also in the Marine Corps. So we got 3 brothers named James, and we got in the back another James, also in the Marine Corps. And we have many brothers and sisters who served in all of the branches of the military. Gilbert, were you in the Army, right? We have folks that were, in fact, if you were in the military, stand up. Stand up, everybody who was in the military. Give all these men and women a real hand. Yeah, you can serve your country, and at the same time, you can be serving God as well. So, there was, many, many decades ago, serving in the military. I'm very, very proud of my service. Marine Corps teaches you to be proud, let me tell you. It definitely teaches you pride. Not always good pride, but it teaches you pride. But I was lost. I didn't know God. Drank everything I had. Lost. Lonely. Hurt. Sounds like everybody here in Victory Outreach, right? So I came into Victory Outreach and I got saved, first thing. And we used to go to the mother church. My wife, before I was at the International Club. But Pastor Sonny Sr. used to come over to our house, talk to her brothers who were on drugs, and said, you need to come to Victory Outreach. You need to come and get your life turned around by God. And believe it or not, to this day, all of her brothers and sisters have been saved. It just goes to show what one man who is willing to do, it passes from generation to generation to generation. It's just not one person that you're reaching. You're going to reach hundreds. You may not know that the person that you talk to and lead to the Lord will talk to another person, and another person, and another person. You may never see them, but you're having an effect on them. So 1 year after we were married, the Marine Corps had this infinite wisdom to send us off packing to Korea. So we're living in a tent in Korea. My wife's living in, I don't even know what you would want to call that place. Wasn't a hotel, that was for sure, because we didn't have no money. We didn't have any money. When we got married, we were so poor, as evangelist Philip LaCruz says, we are poor, as in we could only afford one O. We were that poor. I know, a bad joke, but you can blame it on evangelist Philip LaCruz Sr., that's his joke, but I can relate to it. We were poor. Our wedding was, well, thank God it was Victory Outreach because we didn't have no money. We had it in our backyard. We had it in the church, but our reception was in the backyard with some paper mache decorations because we didn't have no money. Amen, brother. But we didn't go in debt for it. We didn't borrow any money for it. So we went off to Korea, and you know, in the military, one thing they teach you, and tell me if this isn't true, they teach you how to pack. They teach you how to pack your bag. And so the subtitle of this message right now is, What's in Your Sea Bag? Let's talk about that for a minute. When you join the Marine Corps, they give you all kinds of equipment, and they teach you how to put it on. They give you a vest to put on, armor. It's been a long time ago. Give you a helmet, put on. They even give you this big armored plate, which I kind of think's funny. On one side, it says it can withstand 7.62 millimeter ammunition, and then on the front it says handle with care. Solid steel. So we put on our armor, and of course, can't go anywhere without your boots. So you take all of this stuff, a long time since I had to wear it, and you're going to put it in a sea bag, because wherever you need to go, that's what you're taking with you. So I already packed this bag with all the essential things like, some pants, and some shirts. But you always would have put on top the things that you're going to need the first thing. You got to put your armor there. So I'm going to have my wife come up, give me a hand. We're going to pack our sea bag. We've done this so many times. Pastor Joe, how many times do you have to pack your bags to go overseas? Seems like you're living out of a suitcase, right? We're going to pack it nice and tight. Make sure it's pushed all the way down in there because you got to put lots of things inside here. You so self? Remember this? So we're ready to go. Thank you. Thanks, sir. In the same way, no. In the same way, many of you saints have come into Victory Outreach, maybe the way I was, broken. And maybe you're in the men's home, maybe you're in the women's home. And you're learning about a different kind of armor. In Ephesians 6, 10 through 18, Paul tells us, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints." You come into Victory Outreach, you go into the home, you learn a few verses, you learn some discipline, just like the Marine Corps boot camp, you learn some discipline, and you acquire the armor of God. You get the gospel. You put with your feet peace and truth. And you say, "I'm ready to go." You take some Betty classes and you get educated. You say, "Man, I'm ready, Pastor. I'm ready. Launch me out. I'm ready." And Pastor's looking at you and thinking, "Man, the harvest is many, but the workers are few." And he's looking for a few folks to help us out and go reach the lost and the hurting. And here you are, you say, "I'm ready, I've got my bags packed, I've got the whole armor of God, I'm ready to go." Pastor says, well, gets together with the pastoral team, give you a test on your knowledge. Maybe with your spouse, get together and see what kind of background you have. And they launch you out. So, I need a brother, someone, real big, strong. Let's take this bag and let's go launch out to a foreign field. Who wants to volunteer? There you go. Throw your arms right there, pick her up, and let's go. Let's go. Heavy, brother? Yeah. How far are you going to go? 50 yards. You can put it down, brother. So here's the problem. Pastor wants to launch you out, but you're burdened down. You got problems. You got financial problems. You don't last out on the mission field, but a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks. Pastor, I come home. I can't do this. I ain't got no money. I'm broke. I got bills. I thought, back in the day, Pastor, right, we used to just send him out there with no support. Now you probably get a year's worth of support. You see, you can't help the pastor if your finances aren't in order. You can't even help the local church if your finances aren't in order. We talk about giving, we talk about tithing, offerings. You're so burdened down that you can't do anything, and you don't see a way out. You don't see a possibility of how you can get better. So, let's talk about what's in your sea bag. Let's talk about what's burdening you down. What's holding you back from achieving financial freedom so that you can be a real help to pastor. So, here we go. Money, money, money. So I've been taking secret musical lessons from Pastor Joe. And as you can tell, in just a few more lessons, he's going to put me up on the worship team. So that song is an old secular song from ABBA. And maybe you've seen Mamma Mia. It talks about a lady who just never seems to have enough money to make the ends meet. And she thinks she's going to find her hope in a well-off man. That's the solution. Find a well-off man. Or maybe, gentlemen, you want to find a well-off woman? That'll solve all your problems. Just marry into money. That'll take care of everything. You know, you think about money. You work for money. You save money, hopefully. You spend money. You tithe money. Most of all, we stress about money. Even though money is not an essential thing in your life, a significant portion of your time will revolve around earning, saving, giving, and spending money. So your relationship with money isn't something that's insignificant or unspiritual. So what is money? What is money? Money is a medium of exchange. You know, it's just an agreed upon way that we can exchange things for, or trade for things, or services, or pay for something. You know, in many different countries, money takes on a different form. We just got back from Europe, and they had the euro. Pastor Joe and Sister Doreen were over in Mexico. Money took on the form of pesos. Many, many different forms. So, you know, without money, Pastor Joe would probably have to trade cocoa in to get some cereal. Back to the barter system. We don't want to go back to the barter system. So here's the thing about money. It's amoral. It's neither good nor bad. Money in and of itself has no morality into the money itself. Money can only do what you tell it to do. Money is not the root of all evil. In 1 Timothy 6, verse 10, the Bible says, "But the love of money is the root of all evil." Money itself is not the problem. So if the concept of money is so simple, and money doesn't have power, why do we talk about money so much? Why does Victory Outreach talk about money so often? Well, there's pretty good reasons why we talk about money so much. First, the reason Victory Outreach talks about money so often is because God talks about money so often. Did you know that 16 out of 38 of Jesus' parables were about money and possessions? Nearly 25% of Jesus' words in the New Testament deal with biblical stewardship. 1 out of 10 verses in the Gospels deal with money. There are more than 2,000 scriptures on tithing, money, possessions in the Bible, which is twice as many as on faith and on prayer combined. And you know Pastor loves talking about faith and prayer, and yet it's twice as much God talks about money. So we've got to talk about money. Secondly, money is frequently discussed in the Bible because there's a direct correlation between the way we handle our money and our faith. When it comes to money, we will either worship wealth or we will worship with our wealth. Let me say that again. We will either worship wealth or we will worship with our wealth. It's powerful, isn't it? There's a big difference between the two. It's very easy to get seduced by the power of money, by the lure of lust. Many things in this world will vie for your attention. It's on TV. It's on the internet. It's always telling you can get a better job. You know, you can have a better car. You have a better place to live. All you have to do, sign right here on the dotted line. Heck, mad at your spouse? Go get a new one. Half the world's doing it anyway. The world just tells you you deserve it. But God desires our devotion, and He knows you're going to come face to face with temptation of money, which is why He speaks about it so often. Money may be amoral, but our attachment to the worship of money will lead us into sin and making poor financial decisions. Okay, so let's come up with some principles that we can learn to live by and see if we can't improve our financial freedom. The first thing you need to know, it's not yours. None of it's yours. It's not mine. It's not Pastor Joe's. Victory Outreach isn't Pastor Sonny's. It's God's. This is now God's house. God built this place. It's God's divine plan. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's not Pastor Sonny's. He's directing it. He's the steward of it, but it belongs to God. So what you have, it's not yours. You are just a steward of what God gives us. In fact, in Exodus 19, verse 5, it says, "Now therefore, you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant. You shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for the earth is mine." God is the rightful owner of everything that we have, which means the money we earn, it belongs to God, not you, not me. It's the essence of what's known as biblical stewardship. So we got to stop thinking about, I earn this, I deserve this. It all belongs to God anyway. And when we leave this earth, it's not going with you. It's an old saying, right? So, money is just a tool. Money is about discipleship. Money is a tool that God uses to help us live and love like Jesus. Regardless of how much, or in some cases maybe tonight, how little money you have, God is at work in your life through your circumstances. He's leading you to a deeper trust in Him, which is exactly what Paul says in Philippians. Paul says, "Be content." It's not that I'm speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. Are you struggling tonight financially? Are you hurting? Or are you swimming in financial abundance? Regardless of where you find yourself tonight, instead of asking, "Why, God, why?" Like Pastor Ryan said yesterday, put a smile on your face and say, "God, what are you teaching me? What am I supposed to learn from this circumstance? I may be going through it. The job I have is not paying enough. The car I got ain't enough," like Pastor Ryan said yesterday. But what are you learning as you go through this? God's trying to teach us how to be better stewards of what He's given us. You know, in Matthew 6:24, it says, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to one and despise the other." You cannot serve God and money. In Luke 12:34, it says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart also be." So, the third principle is worship with your money. There are Bible verses, dozens of them, that talk about putting your hope in money. And you're going to come across a lot of warnings in the Bible. In essence, they say, be careful. Guard your heart. Don't be a fool with your money. If you're not careful, it's going to be really easy to place your hope in money. You know, money is something that we can hold in our hands, look at in our bank account, check it every day. See, you can see how much money you've got. We can feel the weight, or in some cases the absence, or possess a sense of self-sufficiency when we have all, just living in abundance. You know, when it comes to money, wealthy people are not the only ones who will be tempted to sin. Regardless of how much money you have, you're going to be tempted to sin in many different ways. So instead of placing your hope in money or whatever generates income, place your hope in God. He owns everything, and he'll provide you with what you need for your life. In fact, we have to fight for contentment. It's the next principle. You know, it's difficult to be content with myself, my work, my boss. Oh, my boss. If only I could have a different boss, work would be great. With your family. Oh, if that nephew of mine would only get it together. My niece. Oh, my goodness. Our son. With my possessions. Man, that car out there. Boy, if you saw that car out there, not content, right? You know, we're bombarded with a slew of messages, just a slew of them. You could just have, go to dealership, 0 down, 0% financing, it'll cover you for 72 months. You can have the coolest car ever, But God's telling us, be content with what you have. Be content with what you have. Don't reach for more than you have. I'm going to, in the spirit of transparency, tell you something that happened to me serving Christian. 20 years have been saved. And I retired from the military, and I said, I'm going to use some of the GI Bill, and I'm going to go to college. I'm going to better myself. So I looked at a whole bunch of colleges. I was accepted to a few of them. And I looked at the price tag, and I said, whoa, the GI Bill ain't going to pay for all that. So I chose a little less expensive. I went over here to a local community college, Cerrito College. Then I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I got my degree. But during that time, the poor car I had broke down. The truck, the engine seized up. Probably because I didn't put no oil in it. I could have gone out. Easy. I could have just gone out and got a loan for another vehicle. It would be no problem at all. Remember, I'm not working, I'm going to school, and I didn't want to take on debt. So I rode a bicycle to Cal State Long Beach. So from Whittier to Cal State Long Beach, and my wife can tell you, this is a true story. I rode a bicycle down the 605, the little river down there, 17 miles down, 17 miles back, uphill both ways. And sometimes in the winter and the rain, it's not a whole lot of fun. You got your books, and I take a shower in the gymnasium down there, go to class, and then you're trying to study late at night. How many people studying late at night? And you come home in the dark, and I'm worried about, get flat tires, and that poor tire had more patches in it. And here's a funny story. Pastor Joe, they were setting up Victory Outreach Whittier over on Imperial Highway. And I came out of the river there, and I don't know if you guys, when you're in your workout clothes, you don't really look all that good. Well, I'm on the bicycle clothes, which means a bunch of spandex. You ever see a big old belly hanging over with the spandex? So there's Pastor Joe saying, hey, brother, come on in the church. And I'm like, I go to the mother church. So you did what you have to do, right? Sometimes we have to sacrifice a little to get ahead. Sometimes you got to discipline yourself when you could go out and get a loan, and you could do that, but you sacrifice yourself. Hey, I graduated, and God blessed me. He blessed me with a job like you wouldn't believe. It was right what I want to do, and I'm into electronics, computers, and airplanes, and He gave me this job that my wife always told me. He said, someday you're going to make some money. And I said, wow. God, this is amazing. I couldn't believe they were paying me this kind of money. And I'm like, what are we going to do? What a blessing. What a beautiful blessing. I can tithe like never before. I can give like never before. You know what I did? Honey, let's go get a mansion up on the hills up here. Let's go buy a mansion. I started looking around. God gave me all this money. I'm going to go buy me the biggest house because it's for my wife. It's not for me. It's for my wife. She deserves it. She put up with all these sacrifices. I'm going to give it to my wife. I'm a great man, but that's a lie. That's for me. She didn't even want the house. She didn't even want it. She says, I'm perfectly content with where we live. It was all about my ego, my pride, and I wasn't listening to God. And so I went out, took out the biggest loan you ever saw to buy some dirt. I bought some dirt. I got some dirt up here. I got $250,000 worth of dirt. Anybody want some dirt? I got some dirt in this here bag. I'll sell you some dirt. Forget the $100, real cheap. I got dirt for $1. I got dirt that's cheap. But that's okay. I went and I found me an architect, right, Pastor? You got to find an architect to make a building. You pay the architect more money. The architect wants thousands of dollars. And you know what he made me? Paper. So then I got paper and dirt. So I got one of dirt, I got paper. This one's really light because it just got paper in it. This one's really heavy because it got dirt in it. I got paper and I got dirt. And I got debt. And I got a lot of debt. That architect wanted a lot of money. That's okay. God knows. I'm doing it for my wife. I'm going to build her a mansion. I got me a house that I'm going to put up there. I got plans. Now I got to go to the city, right, Pastor Joe? We got to go to the city. That's going to be some fun. You go to the city, and you know what they tell you? We don't like your plans. We don't like them. Change them. Back to the architect, and you give him some more money, and he gives you some more paper. And so now I got more dirt and more paper. I'm broke. You know that idea of tithing? I'm banned. They got to make sure that the water, see, it doesn't have a sewer system up there in the hills. So they got to make sure that they're going to dig a hole and all your wastewater is going to go in the hole. So they got to dig a hole down there and make sure that it's going to drain and it's not going to end up in your house. You probably don't want my wastewater in your house. So they're going to dig a 4-foot hole, 80 feet deep. That costs about $25,000 to dig a hole. And you know what they do with the dirt? They gave me more dirt. I got more dirt. I got dirt like you wouldn't believe. I got some dirt. So they dig the hole and they fill it up with water. They got a fire hose and they just fill it up with water. And the water's going in, the water's going in. The guy's taking measurements. How far is the water going down? And the water's going down. And they make a report. More paper. And you take it over to the city or the county and you give them a report. You know what they do with the hole in the meantime? Probably put a steel lid over it because they're going to drop some concrete in there and make me a sewage pit. They filled it back in. They filled it back in. I said, hey, wait. Once the city approves it, what are you going to do? He said, we're going to dig it back up. More money. More money. They want another $25,000. More dirt. But that's okay. We're moving forward. We're going to do it. And I say, we're? She's just looking at me like, you're crazy. She's thinking, you're crazy. But she wouldn't stop her husband from the dream he had. Pastor talks a lot about dreamers instead of doers. But that's okay. I got my plans. I got my dirt. I got my paper. And I go and I lay it out before the city and the county, and they go, you can do it. Go ahead. Only one problem, I ain't got no money. So I got to go back to the bank. I go to the bank and I lay it all out for them and say, I want to borrow more money. You know how much money they're going to give me? They're going to give me $750,000 to build this mansion for my baby. So I got $250,000 plus $750,000. You know how much that is? There's my mathematicians. That's $1 million. Yeah, that went from God. That's not what God said to do. That's what James said to do. That's what James wanted to do. I wasn't content because I sacrificed. I rode those bicycles through the rain and the snow. Well, it don't snow here. But anyway, right through the rain. And I deserved it. I deserved that house. I could see myself sitting on the edge of the infinity swimming pool in the hills. Look at me now. You know, when you finally do come around and you listen to the Holy Spirit's little voice in your head said, don't do that. That's not what I want. That's not what you're a good steward of my money is. That's not what I want you to do. Right when the bank said, come in and sign for this, I told my wife, I said, hey, honey, I don't think you're getting a mansion. I think you're going to stuck in the house we got now. And she said, good, that's all I ever wanted anyway. What a relief that was. There's only one problem. I got a lot of dirt up here in the hills. But you know what? God's got a plan for that. God's got a plan. We might have the next mission training center right over there, up in those hills right here. We might have an urban training center right over those hills right there. We might be having pastors going through, sitting on the edge of the swimming pool, teaching Bible study to the men's home. Hey, men's home, can we be sitting on the infinity edge pool? But it's going to be in God's plan, not James' plan. God gave me a plan and said, hey, you got into it. I'm going to help you get out of it. You owe $250,000. Let's get out of that $250,000 because I still got a good salary. Now all I have to do, pay off this dirt, and then we can move forward with God's plan and not James' plan. So it's hard to be content with what you got when the world's telling you can have something better. Whether it's a house, a car, better job. There's nothing wrong with those. But don't do it the way you want to do it. Do it the way God wants you to do it. Don't go in debt. Even though, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, going in debt is not God's plan for your life. It's not God's plan for your life. In fact, we'll talk about debt right now. So, next principle, get that money. You know, in short, you got to earn money. You got to go to work. Now, some people are unable to work. It happens. You could be injured. It could be that you're handicapped and you're unable to get gainful employment. That happens, and God gives us a plan for that. He says, hey, there's 3 different ways that we can take care of people. Your family. First, take care of your family members. If you've got a family member who's unable to work, is going through a hard time, take care of your family members. It's your responsibility to take care of your family members. In our church, within our church, we take care of folks that are hurting. And then last, and unfortunately, we seem to, as a society, have leaned on this way is the state will take care of it. The government will take care of it. Don't worry about anything. The government will take care of you from cradle to grave. But that's not God's plan. Without getting into too many details about the biblical view of wealth and poverty, we do find many examples that commands us in the Bible about taking care of poor, widows, orphans. God has provided a safety net for people in 3 different ways: the family, the church, and the state. But on the other side of the coin, we can also find many examples and commands in the Bible encouraging Christians to work and to work diligently. Since we're created in the image of God and we are hardwired to work, to create, God has commanded us to work. When it comes to God's command to work, it was given even before sin entered the world, even before the Garden of Eden. Work is rooted in God's created order. He wants us to work. There are many positive benefits associated with employment. However, since sin has entered the world, we'll be tempted to worship work. Anybody there? I've done that. I can work and church isn't important. I got to work. It's more important to go out and earn that money. Put work ahead of doing anything in the church. We make it our God. You can make work a God and just say, hey, I got to earn that money. Or, I don't work at all. I got a job, but I'm not going because basically I'm lazy. Or maybe even twist the work. You got some work, but it's on the sinful side. In fact, it's just sinful. Just call it what it is. In Christ, God redeems our work. He took the thorns and the thistles we work among in Genesis 1:18, and he wore a crown of thorns on his head as a reminder that he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Now, next principle, kill greed. Kill greed in your heart. Nobody here is greedy, right? Just politicians. They're the greedy ones. Or some of those CEOs of the multi-billion-dollar companies, those are the greedy ones. You know, we hear about the 1% all the time. If only we shared all the money, all the problems would go away. Maybe it's the athletes, you know, those football players. They're making all kinds of money. They're lousy. They don't even do a good job. Actors. How about that movie, right? Everybody go see the movie? Endgame, or what's it called? Avengers? I haven't been there yet. They get paid all kinds of money, and all they do is make a movie. Come on, it's fun. So regardless of what image comes to your mind, here's one thing you know to know about greed. It's not good. It's not good, and you're going to have to fight it all your life. The devil's not going to give up just because you are serving God. He's going to continue to tempt you with greed. Greed is bad, and every single one of us is going to have to fight it. And in the words of Apostle Paul, put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature, whether it's sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. There's a good chance you probably don't think you have a greed problem. But let me ask you these questions. Are you satisfied with how much money you make? You want to purchase more things? Ladies, how about those shoes? You want to get some of those shoes? Do you desire more money, possessions, and do they choke out your interest in God? I'm not satisfied with what I have, and I'm not going to come to church because I'm going to work. See, that's a good thing. I'm going to work so I can have what I want. In life, the presence of greed will come, and it will go. It kind of comes and goes in waves. Hit me hard. Oh, I wanted that house. I wanted that house. Which is why it's a good idea. Keep your finger on the pulse of your heart and kill the presence of sin in your life with the antidote of the gospel. Now, let's talk about the one nobody wants to talk about. What nobody wants to talk about it. Debt. Debt. There's a pretty good chance many of you have debt in this room. How can I say that? How can I know that you guys have debt? Well, if you look into the research, household debt in the United States is at $13.5 trillion. There's a pretty good chance you're sharing in part of that money. Anybody besides me? I'm the only one who's got debt? Not much longer, 3 years. 3 years, brothers. Since debt is so common in the United States, leading cause of financial stress. When you have financial stress in your life, it transfers into other things like your relationship. When you're stressed out, I bet you and your spouse fight. Because the thing that most couples fight about is money. They fight about money. And when you're in debt, it's going to be a large amount of fighting. So what does the Bible say about debt? 3 principles. God doesn't forbid debt. Doesn't outright say you can't have debt, it's a sin. But he does caution highly against debt. Taking on debt is generally a bad thing. Even though God doesn't forbid debt, you still want to be cautious when you consider taking on debt. You know what would have been a really great idea if I went to Pastor Joe, Sister Doreen, and said, hey, I'm kind of thinking about this. And they'd have counseled me with godly wisdom and said, is this really what God has for you, or is this what you have for you? But I didn't do that. I could have gone to Pastor Brian and Sister Tilly. I didn't do that either. I didn't take counsel of anybody. I just said the money, I'm going to do it. In fact, I didn't have the money, did I? I had to borrow it. So debt affects you all however long you've been serving God. So if you're in debt, it's okay if you have like a mortgage on your house. It's okay. Prayerfully consider what steps you want to take to get out of debt as soon as possible, especially when it takes time to pay off these things. What are these? These little pieces of plastic. Everybody has them, right? Everybody's got these in their wallet or their purse. Everybody's got those. So the first thing you need to do, I couldn't find any bigger scissors. Help me out, baby.
Okay.
Look, I haven't even activated this one. Bigger, cut it up high, big, right there, let everybody see. Another one. You know, when you make a little bit of money, they send you these all the time. I don't even open them. They're still attached to it. Cut them up. Another one. Cut it up. Look, another one. They keep sending them. You know why? Because they want to get you in debt. They're going to send you credit card applications. No money, no payments, zero interest. 24 months. You can have whatever. Oh, man, I can get those shoes. You know those big high heels for my wife? I can get her for, we were just over in Italy. She saw some $2,000 pumps. $2,000. I told her I'll buy her the $2,000 shoes if she buys me the $75,000 jacket. You can have it. You can buy it with a credit card. And you know what your plan is?
You can buy it with this.
Yeah, you're going to pay it off right before that interest period runs out. For sure, you're going to do that. You got the best of intentions. God knows you have the best of intentions, but what happens? Well, things happen. And the credit card companies are not fools. They hire psychologists. They learn and they know about you and you and you. They know exactly what your weaknesses are. They'll send you blank checks. It's like cash. Well, magic. I can fill up my bag. I'll just go to the bank and cash that thing, right? I'll just stuff it in here. I'll put all my money right in here. They're just going to send it to you because you know why? They know they're going to get you hooked. They're going to get you hooked, and you're going to have $10,000 in debt. They'll give it to you, and then they want it back. $10,000 in debt, depending on the interest rate, maybe $400 a month. You know, it's kind of funny. Maybe you went out to dinner. So, I got this new credit card. We're going to go out and have dinner. Maybe I take Pastor out. We're going to go out, and we're going to get us a fine meal. I'm going to get me a steak. Love that steak. My wife's a vegetarian, so she don't eat no steak. So she'll get a salad. She's thrifty, economical. So they give me a steak. Maybe the whole bill comes to $100 because I got the finest steak. And I got me some asparagus on the side. What, you don't like asparagus? Brussels sprouts? But I'm going to have that thing. It cost me $100. 2 years later, when I finally get around to paying it off with all that interest, it's going to be $200. Or maybe when you can't make the payment or you're late and they charge you finance charges and kick it up to 24%, that steak dinner is going to cost you $300. So the things you buy ain't going to cost what you paid for them. I got it on sale. I got it on eBay. I got it on Amazon. I got it really great. Except when you pay it off, it costs you 5 times what you could have got it right at the local store if you paid cash. Debt. Cut them up. Get rid of the credit cards. Now, maybe you're that rare person. You know, I get cash back. I get cash back on my credit card purchases. Or here's a good one. Get airline miles. Get me some airline miles. Now, Pastor Joe, he travels a lot. Sister Doreen travels a lot. My wife and I, we travel a little bit for my work. And, you know, I'm going to accumulate some airline miles. But I'm not going to use it on a credit card. They just give you a number, my frequent flyer miles, right? But maybe you're going to use a credit card, and every purchase gets you points or miles towards that next flight. And you're thinking, baby, we're going to Hawaii. We're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to go on vacation to Hawaii when I get enough points. You know, when you use that credit card, you pay all that interest. That free flight just cost you $5,000 or $6,000. When if you just go pay cash, you probably could have got it for $600 or $700. Sure, There's a proper use of credit cards. There is. My wife, she is just so economical, so thrifty. She has one credit card, and I'll tell you what, if she spends something on it, when that credit card bill comes in, she'd rather not eat anything for the entire year. She won't eat anything before she lets that thing go one day. If that's you, that's great. That's great. You've got a proper use of that financial instrument. But if you're like the majority of us, cut them up. Cut them up. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pay them off, and then I'll use them right. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's why you're here, because you're stressed out over debt. How many years you been trying to pay them off? But then, you know what happens? The devil says you could have that dress. You could go get that car. Cut them up. I heard this one time. Freeze it in a block of ice. If that was one of you, please don't get mad at me. But freeze it in a block of ice. That'll keep you from impulse buying. Give me a hammer, I smash that thing in 2 seconds. That's free. Hey, let's be real here. I cut these up. I call American Express. Hey, I cut up my credit card last night. I don't know what I was thinking. Can you send me a new one? Sure, we'll have it in the mail tomorrow. Let's not kid ourselves. You can get a new credit card. So cutting it up is just a sign that you are sick and tired of being in debt, that you're tired of paying the banks what you could be paying God. You could be giving back to him what belongs to him, but instead you're giving it to the banks. Your greatest wealth building tool is your income, and you're giving it to the banks for nothing. Give it up. Cut it up. Just get sick and tired of paying off things that you ain't never going to see the bottom of. It's okay. If you really had an emergency, I need that credit card, call them up. They'll ship you one overnight. I guarantee it. They'll ship you one overnight. But, Brother James, don't I have to build a good credit score? I'm going to use a credit card, and I'm going to build a good credit score. Okay. By the time you get that 800 credit score, you'll have given the banks $10,000 in interest. You really think that score represents who you are? Because some bank who doesn't know you, doesn't care about you, in fact, it's not even a bank, it's called your FICO, which stands for the Fair Isaac Credit Organization. I don't know who Mr. Isaac is or why he's fair, but he ain't all that fair to me. He just keeps taking money out of my pocket. So I don't think he's all that fair, but FICO score, are you kidding me? You don't need to build credit. Cut up the credit cards, get out of debt. So have a little bit of fun with that kind of stuff, but God doesn't forbid things like a mortgage, because it's pretty darn difficult to save for a house here in Southern California. The average house is, what, $500,000, $300,000? I doubt you're going to pay cash for it. Who knows? God may bless you when you are able to pay cash. But most of us, we're probably going to take out a mortgage, or we're paying rent, something like that. But there are ways to do it where it's not the house owns you instead of you owning the house, and it's a home and not a house. So let's talk about how do we get out of debt. Well, the first thing, we're going to cut up those credit cards, but second thing is you need to make a plan. You got to have a plan. Could try going to the bank and saying, can I have some money, but that didn't work too good for me. So we need to make a plan. So 2 parts about making a plan. Make the plan, work it. Work your plan. In your plan, very simple, and I've given you some worksheets. 2 worksheets that are handed out. One is for folks who have a regular income. In other words, you know pretty much every week or every 2 weeks or every month, it's going to be the same amount. It's, reasonably the same, maybe, $10, $20, $50, $100 difference, but it doesn't go up and down. And there's other people who maybe they work on commission, or they're a waiter, waitress, and you're working on tips and commissions, and sometimes, you get a lot, and sometimes not so much. So there's another worksheet for what's known as irregular income. In either case, on the first worksheet, the first thing you need to do is, what's your total income? Now, what we're going to talk about in this budgeting, and this is really the most important thing that I can talk to you about tonight, is you can have money coming in, and at the end of the month, I don't know about you, have you ever, this was me years ago, is, where did it all go? I got paid a good salary. God gave me a good salary, but where'd all the money go? At the end of the month, it's like, honey, can I borrow $30 for gas? I ain't got no money, because I never know where it went. Seemed like I had enough money at the beginning of the month or 2 weeks or whenever you get paid, but I don't know where it went. I was in the Marine Corps before I knew God. I used to go, hey, brother, can you lend me 20? I'll give you a 40 on payday. I was always broke. Always broke. I never had any money. So the first and most important thing is make a budget. Now, if you're a married couple or you're engaged to somebody, who is the bill payer? Who's the one who pays the bills? In some families, the wife pays the bills. Some families, macho man pays the bills. One thing God told me when we got married, I didn't have a financial sense at all. Hey, my thrifty, economical wife, I should let her pay the bills. So I actually went on allowance. I said, here, you can have all my paycheck, just pay the bills. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't sit down and talk about it. She just paid the bills. And I put all the burden on her. That's not right. That's not the way to do things. You should sit down and discuss your finances together. You have an equal say in where that money goes. If you're going to not talk about money, then you're going to fight over money. So why don't you sit down at the beginning of the month and talk about money? Sit down together and talk about, what are your goals? Where's this money going to go? Now, I can remember I was growing up, my mom and dad, they were middle class, I guess. I remember they used to go in the living room and, man, my mom would always come out crying because there's never enough money. Financial budgeting's tough because sometimes there's just not enough money, especially if you accumulate a lot of debt. And you got $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, $250,000 worth of debt. You might have some discussions about where that money's going, right? But better to discuss it with prayer, calm, and then make decisions together. So you sit there and you start with your total income, and if you look at the worksheet, you'll see that the very first category is, what are you going to give to God? It all belongs to Him anyway. But you see in a parentheses, a suggested amount, it says 10 to 15%, just in your tithing. That's the first fruits. It comes right off the top. You're going to take right off the top. You see, the other way of doing it is you pay all your bills, you pay the credit cards, you pay the mortgage, you pay the car, you pay the rent, you pay the utilities. You pay for your cell phone here somewhere. Got to make sure we do that. And then, when we're all done, whatever's left over, that's what I give to God. That's not what God asks us to do. He said, give me your first fruit. So the first category is fill in what you're going to give. Now there's place for tithes and there's place for offerings. And you fill in that amount. It should be 10% or more. That's a biblical principle, 10% or more. And then there's a column of what you're projecting you're going to spend for everything. So if my wife's out buying the groceries, we sit down and say, hey, we spend about $400 a month because I eat all the steak, she eats all the vegetarian stuff, but it adds up. So we put down $400. Now, the first couple of months you do this, you might be wildly off. That's why you come back and put, what did we actually spend? Now, these paper forms are great, but as Pastor Victor said yesterday, we're in a cashless society. People don't want to deal with paper. There are apps you can download that will do in 10 minutes, you can make your monthly budget. A couple of them. One's called Mint, absolutely free. You could download it. Just go to your Google Play or your Apple Store and Mint, totally free, doesn't cost anything, and you can do the same thing. Another one, Dave Ramsey's got one called Every Dollar. It's both a free version, and if you want to pay for an upgrade, it'll talk to your bank accounts. I don't believe in paying people for something I could do on paper. But you can do this online, and what's really great is my wife can see what I'm spending. Like when I go over to I-45 and get my latte, she knows that I just spent a couple of dollars in the I-45 coffee shop, and then it comes out of our agreed upon money. You notice there's a category there for pocket money? You see, we're going to spend some. It's inevitable you're going to go to I-45. You're going to go to the Vision store and you're going to get that new shirt. It's okay. It's okay. You got to spend a little bit on yourself. You got to feel good about yourself. It's a long battle. This is not get rich quick. So you got a category for pocket pay or pocket money. And there's a category for his and hers. Because she's going to spend some money too. Some of you macho men say, she ain't spending anything I don't give her. Well, then you're going to have some very good discussions about money. So you fill out this budget, and at the end of it, there should be no dollars, zero, no money left in it. Why? Because you're telling the money where to go. You are assigning it and saying, this is where I want to go. And there's 3 different things that could happen. Number one, you meet it perfectly. I spent exactly $400 on groceries. I spent exactly $25 on coffee and fun stuff like that. I paid my utility bill because it was exactly what I projected it would be. Never. But that's rarely the case. Sometimes things happen like, at the end of the month, I looked in the freezer and I said, honey, where's all the food? I don't want no more celery. I want a steak. And she goes out and get it, and we kind of busted our budget. But one of the things you got to do is discipline yourself and say, hey, do I really, really need that? It's going to bust my budget. You see, when you're not watching, when you don't have a budget, you don't care. Till the end of the month when you're like, I ain't got enough money to pay the rent. Now you care. Make a budget and stick to it. Now, sometimes unforeseen things happen. You ever have tires that wear out? You know, look at them and they're balder in my head. You know, tires don't go bald overnight. They really don't. You get new tires and they're good for 90,000 miles, unless you're crazy like me and they're driving 1,000 miles a week. They should last you a good long time, but they will wear out. So we're going to budget for that. You're going to budget for normal wear and tear on your car. Now, how do you do that? See, I say, okay, I'm going to put $10 a month so that in X number of months I'll have enough for new tires. Maybe 36 months I'll have money for new tires. If you just leave it in the bank, you know what you're going to do? You're going to spend it. That latte sounds a whole lot better than the $10. I could put $10 in a latte. I can buy one for my wife. I can buy one for me. And I'll put it back next month. No, you won't. No, you won't. See, if you have trouble with that type of budget, you notice there's some little symbols of envelopes next to them. And there's something known as the envelope system. That's something your grandma might have done. I say that, and I look in the mirror and I say, man, I'm probably your grandpa now. Getting up there. But what is the envelope system? An envelope system is where you kind of put cash in an envelope and you set it aside. I'm going to put $10 aside for car maintenance, and next month I'm going to put $10 in there, and the month after that I'm going to put $10 in there, and then when you need new tires, you got the tire money. What's the problem with that? I'm going to go take the $10 out and go get a latte out of the I-45. You've got to discipline yourself not to rob from your various envelopes. You've got to discipline yourself. Where's my homes? You guys don't know anything about discipline, do you? So in Hebrews 12:11 it says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who are trained by it. You have to discipline yourself to not take money. Rob Peter to pay Paul, the old saying goes. Use the envelope system and don't touch that money. Okay? So, a couple of things on managing your money. The budget has to be done every month. Every month. And you have to sit down and agree. My wife and I are going to sit down and agree. What are we going to do with the money? How are we going to spend it? If you're in debt, if you've got credit cards, if you've got medical bills, if you've got student loans, and you say, I'll never, ever escape these. You can. You can escape them. I'm a guy who, when we first got married, I once told my wife, I said, using credit, it's just a tool. I know how to use it. And she looked at me like I was an alien. Are you crazy, brother? You better get back on the word. I actually believe that. I believe I could outsmart the banks. Just get this credit and move it over to this one and move it over here. You're not going to win like that. So if you're in debt, there's a couple of different ways to attack it. I like a guy, a Christian named Dave Ramsey, and he says, hey, list all your debts on a sheet of paper. Just list them from the smallest to the largest. And pay off that smallest debt first. You know why you want to do that? You got to have some victories. You got to have some wins. When you owe $500 or something, you pay it off, you're like, yes! And now you take that money and you roll it into the next biggest one. It's like losing weight. It doesn't happen all at once. You say, I'm going to try to lose 30 pounds. I was in the Marine Corps, I was like really skinny. I was about 155. That ain't something. But if you want to lose weight, you go to the gym and you say, man, I just put in all that effort, and you jump on the scale. Nothing. Maybe I gained a pound. Muscles. Muscle mass. That's what you tell yourself. But that's okay. I go to the gym tomorrow, and I do it again, and I jump on the scale. Man, I'm building some muscle mass, but I keep gaining weight. See, you got to have some victories. If you keep jumping on the scale and it doesn't show any results, you just get frustrated. How many got gym memberships and after the first month they just stop going? They just don't go anymore because you don't see any gains. You don't see any improvement. You're just not winning. So some people just list their debts from lowest to highest, and you're going to pay off that smallest one first so you can have some victories. And the other thing is, find some trusted people that you can sit around and talk with. Somebody who understands what you're going through, somebody who's been there or going through it with you, and discuss it with them. Have an accountability partner so you can say, hey, man, I'm really struggling with this. I really want that latte. I want those new shoes. I want that new car, but I'm trying to get out of debt. What do you think? And have them pray with you. Find an accountability partner. One of the things with Pastor Joe we're going to have follow-ups, because it's easy to sit here and talk tonight and get fired up and go out and say, I'm going to win with money, and then tomorrow comes back and you're hungry and you're tired and you just... We need accountability. We need to have small groups where we can talk about things like credit card debt and car loans and rent and utilities and such a struggle. And where we can hold each other accountable to say, I need a little help in this area. I'm feeling down. I don't feel like I'm winning. I'm not getting there. The other way you could do it, and I've seen some people do it this way, and there's nothing wrong with it, is they say, I'm going to pay off the highest highest interest first. List them with the highest interest. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I owe, 24% and I owe $10,000. You're paying $400 a month. Yeah. Maybe in 27 years you'll be done. 27 years before you pay that thing off at that rate. Because the banks want to keep you in debt. The credit card company wants to keep you in debt. You know the minimum payment? 27 years you will pay on that $10,000. 27 years. Sure, pay the highest interest first, but you're going to be paying it for a long time. Now, how many got disciplined for 27 years? I don't got disciplined for 27 years because I'm going to give up. I'm going to quit my gym membership and I'm going to go out and buy a new car and I don't have to work or run or do anything. I give up. So better to pay the smaller one first and then take that money, and when you can plow it at it, you can finish that thing in 3 years. 3 years and you'll get rid of that $10,000. You'll be completely free. So, but you've got to sit down and you've got to make that appointment with your spouse, if you have one, and you got to say, this is what I got. This is what I'm trying to do. Do we agree? This is what we're going to do? Because if you ain't got a back-to-back spouse with you fighting this, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. If you got two people pulling in different directions at the rope, you're not going to win. You're not going to win at all. You have to be in agreement on what are your financial goals. So, a couple of things. Maybe you think, more money. More money will solve all my problems. More money, more problems. $250,000, right? So if you think, hey, if I only had more money, I wouldn't have to worry about it. You know, I like to stop in 7-Eleven, get my coffee on the way to work. I got the sign, the Daily 5, the Big Spin, the Powerball. I think it's at 229 million this morning when I saw it. Anybody ever hear on TV? I know you've all heard on TV when it's like $1 billion. You probably dream, man, if I won the Powerball. Nobody here dreams about that stuff? Am I the only crazy one? Come on now, you hear it on the radio, you can't help your mind wanders. It's not sinful to think if I had $1 billion. It's sinful to go play that lottery because you're not going to win the lottery anyway. And it's a waste of God's money. That's not what he told you to do with his money. But you think if I had $1 billion, that'd solve all my problems. I wouldn't have no debts. I'd give Pastor Joe, I'd give him 50% of it. You wouldn't give him 1 penny. You don't tithe now. What makes you think you're going to do it then? But I have all that money. It'd be so much extra. Do you know most of the folks who win the lottery, a lot of them are broke in 3 years. Some of them are dead. People kill them for the money. I remember one gentleman, he wasn't the most educated young man. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. He wasn't real educated, but he had a simple life, and he was content with what God gave him. And then he won the lottery, and he ended up dead. Everybody going to help him with his money. They're going to help him with the money. You think, if I just got that sweet promotion at work, see, that's godly. I get a promotion. I earned it. I didn't play the lottery. That would solve my problems. If I only got that huge income tax return, if I only had that side hustle that would pay all my bills, then I wouldn't have no more problems. And man, I could help the church. I could give so much money. Pastor Joe would be my best friend. More money just leads to more problems if you haven't learned God's commandments on how to handle it. You know, according to Richard Watts, who is an author of Fables of Fortune, more money just causes more problems unless you've learned how to handle it. So tonight, I wanted to know what was in your sea bag. I said there was dirt in here. It wasn't entirely truthful. So you saw me put the helmet in here. And my boots of peace. And my armor. But and my poor wife, I'm going to make her help me. I might need one of the brethren to help me here. No, I'd like you to take this out. Since he was trying to lift it, just take out either one of them. You want to be men of God, you want to be women of God, and you want to be helped out. this one right here. There you go. One more. Okay. Oops, I think there might be one more in there, brother. There you go. Put that one. Maybe you can't lift your sea bag and help Pastor Joe because you're stuck with credit card debt. Or you got student loans. Because we got a few other things. See if I can spell. Student. And somewhere in here. Loans. Maybe your sea bag has credit card debt, student loans. Maybe you got greed. Greed, right? I want. Maybe some of you had some things befall you that really weren't sinful. You just had medical bills. You know, you got stuck paying a whole bunch of medical bills. My beautiful wife, I'll throw that one in front, all the way in front. Isn't she a great trooper? So, right in front, right there. Medical bills, right? Did I say medical bills? So credit cards, medical bills, student loans, greed. What is it that you're suffering from tonight? What is it that's keeping you from achieving your financial freedom? Is it one of these? Are you not content with what God's given you? You want more? You haven't learned financial stewardship? Well, we're going to break that tonight. Who wants to get out of credit card debt? Someone come up here who's got credit card debt. Don't be ashamed. Just come on up if you got credit card debt and you want to get out of credit card debt. You say, I'm sick of having credit card debt. Maybe it's just me. So these are student loans. Who? I'll take this credit card debt. Let's take this right here. I'm tired of having credit card debt. Anybody got credit card debt? I'm tired of it. Pastor. I'm done with credit card debt. How many are done? Come here, brother. Take that over there. Put that right down there. Put it right on top. Put it right on top. Fold this carpet over the top of it. Fold that one over. Fold the other side over. Take this right here. Hold on. Don't do it yet. Hold on. Safety first. In God's name, we're going to smash credit card debt tonight. Smash it, brother. There we go. That's it. No more credit card debt because we're going to be diligent. We're going to get rid of it. How about student loans? We got young folks in here who took out too much student loans. Get rid of the student. Greed. That's mine. Hold it. Greed is mine. Greed's mine. Where's it at? I want to use what God's given me for God's purposes, not for James's purposes. I want to use the finances that God has given me to further the kingdom of God and not to further the kingdom of James, because it ain't got me nothing anyway. I believe someday that that land up there in Turnbull Canyon is going to house another mission training center, another rehab home. We're going to have men and women that are going to be reading the Bible by the side of the pool, but they're going to be filled with the grace of God, and they're going to be joining Sonny's Mighty Men of Valor. They're going to go out there and take the world for Jesus because that's God's plan and not my plan. And now, when you don't have a sea bag full of financial problems, Pastor, where do you want me to go? We're ready to go. I got my bags packed. We're ready to go. You need me in Guadalajara? We're going to Guadalajara. You need me in Romania? We got Romania. I can go because I'm financially free. I don't have debt. I don't have greed. I've got contentment in my life with what God's given me, and I can go. So we're going to start with small groups. We're going to start with small groups, and we're going to get together. We're going to talk about things beyond just a budget, beyond just paying off credit cards. You can take it so much further. And you know, I was so filled with joy when I came in tonight. I was talking to Brother David. You know, I just talked to him offhand, maybe, 2-3 years ago, Brother David? 2 or 3 years ago? And I just mentioned to him, I said, don't use credit cards. Don't use them. They're just bad news. Just a conversation I had. I don't even really remember it that much. But he told me tonight, he goes, I remember that conversation. And I haven't used credit cards since. Not only hasn't used credit cards, he's saving money. He's saving money. He's investing money. We're going to start a class talking about investing, because you can take what God's given you and grow wealth. See, it's different than rich. Rich, Jesus talks about this. He says it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter into heaven. But he also said it's good to have wealth because it belongs to God. It's God teaching you how to be a good steward. So we're going to have a class. We're going to talk about growing wealth. And that's going to be good because then we can do good things with that wealth. Did you know that if you just took $10,000 and invested it, in a few years you'd have $20,000. In a few more years you'd have $40,000. And over a lifetime, that money will grow and grow and grow, and you'll have over $1 million. Now, it's not the money, it's what you do with that money. It'd be able to say, tithing? No problem. Pastor Joe wants to give 75% of his income. When you've got that kind of money that you've invested, giving 75% of your income is no problem because it's just growing. It's God's growing your money. There's nothing wrong with investing in money. You say, James, I ain't got $10,000. What are you talking about? I'll never have $10,000. Got one of these? How much you paying on interest on this? Oh, I got an installment plan. Do you know if you saved $166 a month, in 5 years you have $10,000. That's $80 a paycheck. That's $40 a week. Oh, but I got Netflix. Oh, but I have Hulu? Is that what it's called? Hulu? I don't know. I invest in Hulu. I invest in Netflix, so you guys keep watching it. Which would you rather have? The Apple, what iPhone are we on? 18? 95? 100? Whatever? Gotta have the latest Apple phone. Or you could invest it and grow that income. You say you'll never have $10,000, I'll say you'll have $100,000. You'll say you'll never be able to invest money, I'll say there's going to be a millionaire in here. There's going to be some millionaire in here. Somebody's going to be a millionaire, and it's not because you're going to glorify yourself. You're going to glorify God. You're going to be able to say, Pastor, what do we need? We need a new building? Here's a $25,000 check. I'll just write that check right now, $25,000. You're going to write that check. So in these classes, we're going to talk about investing, insurance. I'm not talking just about car insurance, but you need insurance if you have an income. We can talk about debt some more. But in these classes, we're going to get together in small groups, and we're going to help edify the body. You know, sit and talk together and say, hey, brother, I'm hurting. My budget, I made a mistake. I really shouldn't have done it, but I went and bought something and now my budget's gone. It's okay, it happens, we all do that. But we're going to carry on these classes and we're going to break the cycle of debt in our church. Maybe you think you're broke and you've always been broke, your parents are broke, your grandparents are broke, but you're not going to be broke, your children aren't going to be broke. Oh, you're going to be changed forever. You don't have to live this way. You can change your family tree. We can change our family tree. We can be different. It's not a sin to grow God's wealth. It's a sin how I handle money. It's a sin when the greed got into my heart and I wanted something. But God turns our sins into the glory, and He's going to make new things happen. And I believe that we're going to indeed take the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. God's going to break those in the financial realm, and He's going to turn it into more than 15,000, more than 20,000. He's going to turn it into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going to be able to change our family tree.